Good handle on it. That'll be in the second hour. Ira Shafel in the first hour. So I'm not in the room, but I can certainly hear, and I have eyes, and I watched it, and you did too. And my guess is if you weren't already in a state of panic, you are now. And it doesn't matter because here's what I'll say. It doesn't matter that amidst all the great uncertainty that we have, that, listen, there are some valid points that Jim Phillips makes about what college athletics and the pursuit of money, what that's becoming, what that does to universities, the university system, collegiate athletics across the board. It doesn't matter. That's all well and good, but the ship sailed a long time ago, and everybody wants a life raft, and they needed the commissioner at a time where we watch him walk out during the State of the Union. You expect, okay, project strength. Maybe behind the scenes, you're just as panicked as the rest of us, but nobody needs to see you looking as if you are about to cry. And that was a man who looked dangerously close on multiple occasions during his address as if he were about to cry. Now, I respect the man and the aptitude, and I'm not trying to belittle him, but if there was a leg to stand on, if there was an avenue, a path to projecting strength, I think he would have done it. What that address and his subsequent Q&A tells you is that there is no path and there is no leg to stand on because he couldn't even throw a life preserver. He couldn't give you a thread, a hope, something to latch onto. It was more about a plea. It was a request. It was a bit of begging that his 50-50 partner, ESPN, understand that they're on the cusp of drowning and that if it doesn't help, that's exactly what's going to happen. But there was no plan or path to or answer for, just, all the neighborhoods, they've all got to be healthy. They've all got to be clean. Man, when we start doing that, when you start hearing that, it reminds me of coaches who are dead in the water and they start talking about the importance of academics. Football record's not where it's supposed to be. Get asked about it. And at some point, the desperation stoops to a level in which the person says, well, this is a fine academic institution, and these kids are becoming men, and we're preparing them for life. And you're like, okay, that'll do it. That's a wrap. That'll do it. This guy's done, and he knows it. There's a part of me that absolutely feels for Jim Phillips, a man tasked with walking out there before the assembled press and the representatives from those schools, all of whom are desperately searching for a way out. And when he steps to the dais, and he knows it, what the very first question of the day is going to be, he knows that he doesn't have a good answer. And we've maybe all been in that position. It's a terrible position to be in. If you've ever done something stupid and you're getting called on it by your boss, your best friend, your wife, your significant other, somebody that can hold you accountable, somebody who's in a position to hold you accountable. And there's no dodging this. There's no deflecting this. There's no getting around this. I've got to confront the situation that I'm in, right? If you've ever done that, and then it's almost as if you're being led to your death as you walk to the door, whatever door that is, the office door, the bedroom door, your front door, whatever it might be, right? You go walking in there and you're facing the firing squad and you don't have a good answer. It's like the 21-year-old me who would frequently say, I'm going for one drink. And 10 hours later, man, what am I going to tell so-and-so? This is not good. You got to answer the question. I felt bad for the guy. Listen, don't get me wrong. I have no influence, sway whatsoever on the ACC's long-term prognosis. I can just observe like the rest of you. And I can tell you what I think, and I think we all know what we all think collectively at this point. It's done. It's in a lot of trouble. So my having empathy, sympathy with that guy, it may anger you to some extent because you want answers, but it doesn't change anything. If it wasn't that guy, it would be anybody else. There's nobody today that could have stood up there because there's clearly not a path. Matthew, did you not listen to that thinking to yourself, oh, no, he doesn't have an answer. This day was coming. This has been on the calendar. He wasn't like walking out of a restaurant and somebody said, hey, Jim, what do you think about what's going on with the Big Ten and the SEC and the disparity of funds for your member institution by way of comparison to those two leagues? Jim, what are your thoughts on that? I just ate a salad. Guys, no, this date was circled on the calendar. You had all the time in the world to figure out. All right, guys, this is serious. Gather around. Now, you know what I know. This is a sinking ship. Our member institutions are like rats fleeing, desperately searching for dry land. We know it. But we cannot project that. We've got to give them something that'll stem the tide or buy time, something. What are we going to say? I don't know, Jim. I mean, listen, if you've got a really nice house and they got a really nice house and you're in that neighborhood, the whole neighborhood needs to look good. I was thinking, or else your home values, they begin to go down. So why don't we say something about healthy neighborhoods? We're in this community and not all the houses are right, man. Why don't you want to say that, Jim? I kind of like where your head's at, Bob. That's not so bad. Healthy neighborhoods. Anybody else? No. Nobody in that meeting said, Jim, what the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? Again, I feel for Jim Phillips. He's screwed and he knows it. He took over an impossible situation. It is awful to think of that man's sleep schedule. Are you effing kidding me, is what he's saying to his wife and kids. I took over this conference right as it's about to be exploded. That's a toughie. A lot of thoughts on this and some serious ones too. We'll go ahead and have this larger discussion. There's actually some kernels of hope in all of that disillusionment. There is some, I thought I heard a few things that seemed to signify that maybe rather meekishly, but somewhat predictably, that maybe those schools who feel compelled to play big boy football and have a seat, or at least have a place at the money trough, have an out. Now, he didn't say that about the grant of rights. But could it be that the ACC, that many of its schools, the root of what it is, a basketball conference, is there enough of a momentum switch that they're like, let them go. Let them go if they don't want to be here. Article written about that very thing. Chuck Burton. Actually, it was a Ned Barnett piece. I've got it here. I'll quit. Where there are people who are encouraging the ACC to go back to what they were. And maybe those schools who weren't part of the great tradition of the ACC, academic, basketball, whatever it might be, maybe you just let them go on their way in their endless pursuit of money. Oh, by all means. That sounds like an amicable agreement here. Why don't we just meet in the middle and say, some of us want different things. It's not your fault, it's mine. It seems to me, babe, we just grew apart. Nobody's at fault here. We just want different things. You recognize it. I recognize it. I don't want to keep you from the things that you value, that you care about. If you want to drink wine and eat cheese with your fellow North Carolinians, then you please do go do that every day, all day, and talk about how great you are. But I'd like to go over here and play a little football. That matters. That matters to me, not to you. So let's just do this. Let's go our separate ways. Maybe every now and again we'll rendezvous. Perhaps amidst your wine and cheese friends, there'll come a day that you would like a ticket to the big game. I'll try to help you out. So this is a fascinating, interesting time. I am not in any way further disgruntled or forlorn. Nothing new happened today. Nothing changed today about the plight Florida State University is in and those ACC schools that would like a seat at the table. That nothing changed today. We can get caught up. It happens a lot. We can get caught up in those comments and how meek, feeble, frightened a man may sound answering tough questions. But it doesn't change the reality. It just further, perhaps, emboldens you to express your ire. I think that's what it does. Yeah. Well, I was already kind of mad. I already understood the situation. Then I saw that guy, and he's supposed to have some answers. Really didn't have any answers. Just kind of furthered on down the road where I thought was already happening. Now he's confirming that it's happening. And damn it, man, that pisses me off. No, don't do that. Decompress. Deep breaths, not going to change anything. That situation wasn't going to change. But I was admittedly somewhat struck by the effort through analogy, amongst other things, to try to get you to take a look around and perhaps raise, I don't know, a moral concern. Is that what we're doing, Jim? We're calling on the Big Ten, the SEC, and ESPN to reach back and find their morals? What you're doing in your pursuit of the almighty dollar is wrong. Guys, education is going to suffer. The neighborhood is filthy. That's a toughie, as I like to say. That's a toughie. Oh, by the way, I agree. But that ship sailed ages ago. I've been sitting here talking on this very program for over 20 years that if you wanted the purity of collegiate athletics and you wanted to believe in the student athlete and not the sham of the amateur athlete that we've embraced over the years with the NCAA, then watch the Ivy League. And that'll probably be ruined soon enough if they can bleed some money out of that league. But it's already over. The time to take a look around about what we're doing here and what we're pursuing and turning this into, in essence, professional sports. Well, that was a long time ago. They had a moment. But as is usually the case, money won out. This is Andrea Adelson asking Jim Phillips the question to start the day, ESPN.com, friend of the program, Andrea Adelson. And this is his answer.
Andrea Adelson, ESPN.com. Jim, I'll follow up with your last comments. How confident are you in the ACC's place right now in this landscape when you make comments about a 2 or 3 gated neighborhood, considering where the revenue gaps will continue to grow and where the ACC is right now?
Andrew, I want to maybe level set it, right? The last 20 minutes, I think you got a sprinkling about where the ACC is nationally. All metrics, we are one of the leaders in the country in all of those areas I talked about, except the revenue piece of it. And that's been brought to light with the recent move of USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. A year ago, we were talking about the same thing. And so truly over the last 18 months, it's been my primary focus. We were able to get distribution done. We have some other things coming forward relative to what we're going to do in partnership with some revenue consultants that I'm really excited about being able to release that maybe by the end of the month. We're looking at our TV contract. We're in engagement daily, I would just say almost daily, with our partners at ESPN. And I openly talk about ESPN because we are 50-50 partners on our network. And so they're motivated, we're motivated, and we've come together to have some discussions about what would be the next iteration for the ACC. Doesn't mean we're going to make a move, doesn't mean we're not going to make a move, but all options are on the table. Revenue is certainly one piece, and a really big piece as we move forward. But I will say it again, we need all communities healthy. And I mean, when you think about where we're at right now, we're probably in the gated community as one of 5. Maybe, people have a different line of demarcation about who's in there. It really doesn't take away from, we're going to continue to try to find new ways to generate revenue for our conference.
My man. Where, you look at it and you think to yourself, well, look at all these accomplishments. And then I get that the revenue matters. Yeah, you think, Jim? We're all there except for the revenue. That has to be hard to utter, to say aloud. That's got to be a toughie. Like, well, you look at it, we do a lot of things. A lot of things. Other people are doing things and we're doing things, and our things are like their things, pretty good things. Their things make a lot more money, Jim. What about the money? Well, we're not there on that thing. We don't have that thing. That's the thing that's missing. But the other things, look at these other things. Look at them. They're just like their things. Sometimes even better. Look at it. Look at all these things. Yeah, but their things are making a lot more money, Jim. What about what we don't have? I just got done telling you I don't have. But I've asking some consultants about those things and how we can get them. I've asked them. I said time and again, look, we've got nice things too. Can we have that other part of the thing we're talking about here? The revenue part? Please? Please and thank you. Anything I can do, we are 50-50 partners. Something that maybe I can do. Can I set up an OnlyFans account? What if I did this same address shirtless? What about that? For a little extra, for my late night OnlyFans folks, I could give the same address pantless. Now that's going to be a little extra. But is that something when we're talking about the things? That's a toughie. You want to go to that second clip real quick? This is more on the topic of the day.
Just 2 questions. Based on your confidence that you can keep your current membership together and the conversations you've had with the presidents, does this mean you're also confident that the grant of rights will not be challenged, as has been speculated by many over the past couple of weeks? And then secondly, in the next few years, of course, media rights are coming to an end. There will be negotiations. We've heard a lot about Fox and ESPN. Do you sense another network or networks being involved in the conversation with the ACC in some way?
So I can just go by what history has told us with the grant of rights, including in current times. People talked about Oklahoma and Texas leaving immediately. I think that's pretty well stated now that that's not the case. They're going to wait until their grants of rights is over. Listening to UCLA and USC at the end of June 30th, and subsequent days after, they clearly are going to stay in the Pac-12 until their grant of rights is over. So, I mean, you can follow the logic there. I would think that the significance of what that would mean, the television rights that the conference owns, as well as a 9-figure financial penalty, I think it holds, but your guess is as good as mine. As it relates to TV partners, I don't want to speculate about what anyone else has done. We have a deep relationship with ESPN, a valuable relationship, and they're the ones that created the network with us. They're the ones that we partnered with, and give so much credit to Commissioner Swafford for all of his work. We'll stay close because in the end, it has to add value to your conference. And you can define value in different ways. You can define value from an academic standpoint. You can define value about athletic success and competitiveness. Are they an AAU research institution? And you can also define it by money. And does it have value to your conference? Would it have value to your conference? That's the same exercise that I think has been going on for college athletics for a long, long time.
I like the and we'll remain close. That's your buddy who's hurt by a recent breakup, devastated by the breakup. You're there for him, but you're letting him talk. You're a sounding board. You're going to let him talk it through. So what'd she say then? Well, I don't know, Jeff. I was just so caught off guard. I thought that we saw this the same way. 50-50. It seemed to me that we were headed down the same path. And then I get there and I could tell something was off. They weren't talking to me. She wasn't talking to me the way that she usually does. And it felt a little cold. And I knew, so I confronted her. Oh, I don't know that you should have done that, Keith. Well, Jeff, I felt like I needed to. Well, what'd she say? She told me that it was over. She didn't love me anymore. I don't know, Jeff. I think we'll remain close.
You can define love in so many ways.
There's a physical love, which I don't have anymore now that she broke up with me. There is the, in spirit, you'll always love. So maybe, that's something. I'd rather have the physical, Keith. Ira Shafel set to join us next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. Wanted to let you guys know chiropractic doesn't just get rid of back pain, neck pain, and headaches. It can help with sleep. It can help with digestion. Maybe you have pain down your arm. But chiropractic is one of the safest, most natural, most effective ways to get to the root cause of your problem. So if you're a loved one or having a problem, even if you think we might not be able to help, make a new patient appointment today at finnchiro.com. That's FENNCA.com. Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.
Let this raise your level of consternation. The level should have already been one of great desperation and fear. The bells have been sounded. The alarm has been sounded some time ago. Nothing about the meekish effort of Commissioner Jim Phillips' press conference today should change how you feel inside. I know I'm the guy that says all the time, hey, intellectually, theoretically, you can talk about how a season plays out and you can predict a loss here or a loss there. But then the game actually happens and then it's played. And that causes a whole new round of emotions because games are won and lost for a reason. And that in turn causes a reaction. And I think that's what happened today. A man that was there to watch it all, our own Ira Shafel, Warchant.com, joins me now from Charlotte. Hello, Ira. How are you, brother?
I'm great, Jeff. How you doing? Everybody good? Everybody?
Well, that was a toughie. Ira, that was worse than I expected, and I didn't expect much.
I think the reality is, what was he going to say?
Correct.
I was joking with another sports writer who you know, but I don't need to put his name out there in case he doesn't want it. But we were talking beforehand. It's like, what can he say? Even before he started, and we were joking that maybe he just shows up. They roll out like a lazy boy. He plops down in it. He's got a cigarette in one hand, a glass of scotch in the other, and he just rips every other conference for what they're doing. But I don't know if that would have been better or not. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we got a lot of texts from people during that press conference saying, "Oh, okay, we really need to get out of here."
Ira, I don't know. I said at the start of the show that I don't know what he was supposed to say, but what he did say left everybody feeling far less satisfied with even being here for one more day. I mean, that was remarkable. Like the level of angst that the schools who would like to, to have a seat at the table are feeling, it's already pretty high. If after today it's not higher, I'd be very surprised because that was eye-opening. And we both think Jim Phillips is a smart man. What it tells you is that despite the fact that this could have been circled on his calendar for some time, he did not have an answer. There was no path to which he could provide hope. There was no life raft that he could throw the member institution and their fans. Like, he had no answers other than please.
My thought during the whole thing, and maybe I'll write this, was, you know, like, I feel like people who don't live in Golden Eagle should just kind of maybe show up at the gate, talk to the security guard and say, hey, how about throwing us a few bones?
Yeah.
It would be better for all of us if we were all in Golden Eagle. Can you spread the wealth a little bit? Because we don't like it out here outside of Golden Eagle. Can you do something for us?
It's tough out here. It's tough out here, man. I just want to drive around. Can I have a day pass? Can I just drive around the neighborhood and pretend I live here for a day? Can we just do that? I mean, holy Jesus. And to be sure, none of this is Jim Phillips' fault.
No.
But he just inherited a nightmare, and he did not, at least at this particular address, do anything to reassure those who have to sleep again tonight.
The only thing I think where he's expressed some confidence, and I'm glad to hear it, if it's legitimate, was when he was asked about Notre Dame and how confident he would be that they would join the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically kind of smirked and said that, you know, he respects their independence, and we certainly want them to join the ACC. And whenever that time comes, if they do join a conference, we're very confident it's going to be the ACC. Now, I don't know if anybody else believes that, but he seemed really confident about that. So that's something.
The only reason that gave you pause to think maybe, just maybe, there's some sort of silver lining in all of this mess is because he's got direct connections to Notre Dame. Right. He was at Notre Dame. He had kids go to Notre Dame. He knows, he's friends with the higher ups at Notre Dame. So I don't know. Maybe he does feel confident, but I don't think that's the same sort of confidence he had in other conferences, commissioners, presidents, you name it, doing the right thing by the way of higher education. Well, that ain't happening, man.
You're telling me you don't think like Greg Sankey called up Kevin Warren after that speech and said, hey, man, maybe they're right. Maybe Jim Phillips is onto something here. Maybe we are ruining this thing.
By the way, did you not feel terrible for him when I don't know who it was. I want to give proper credit. It might have been the guy from the Roanoke paper. He brought up the fact that the Alliance the Alliance was no more just 1 year later. And Jim had to try to sit there with a straight face and tell you he was proud of the work the Alliance did.
Hey, we did some good things. I'm proud of what we did with the Alliance.
And the Big Ten did what they thought they should do, but we did some things.
Because they're a bunch of a-holes and they don't care about anything other than football and basketball. And, he said if football and basketball is all we care about, then we've lost our way. And it's like, yeah, man. Except the money is real. It's all real. This isn't in a classroom. In an ethics class where we're discussing what should be done. This is reality. Those schools are making that money. Your schools are not making that money. And to sit here and act like, if you just, say we're holier than thou. I mean, it just was, again, man, like you said, I don't know what he could have said, but that was painful.
He was appealing to their morals. You got to be kidding me. It's the SEC. What are you talking about? He's appealing to ESPN as if that's not a business.
All the work for all the mom and pop shops that the box stores put out of business, right?
Oh man. When when I stopped listening, Ira, I stopped listening when he talked about leaving Notre Dame to go to Northern Illinois. I'm like, right. Sir, read the room. What were the faces of the reporters and people there to cover this event? What were they like when he starts prattling on about leaving Walmart and taking over the local, hammer and nail store there? That was unbelievable.
Because it's auditorium seating, you can't really see other people's faces unless you turn around. But afterward, several national and local sports writers I spoke with who were just kind of blown away. And I told somebody at the ACC, I said, look, he's going to get killed for that. I hope you guys realize what's about to come, because every reporter that's in that room is going to kill him for those comments. But like you said, it's not his fault. I do feel a little bit bad for the guy because he's only been here a year. They need to bring Swafford up there and make him answer questions.
Well, I agree. Swafford's on a beach somewhere drinking, laughing, and thinking, boy, what a mess I got them into. And hey, I'll take another Mai Tai. So I don't know, like, there was one angle, and I do want to ask your opinion on this, because other than that presentation, I'll get to FSU specific here in a second, Ira, but other than that speech, which is really going to be the crux of what everybody takes away from this ACC kickoff. It's not going to be what Dabo or Mike or any other coach says. It's going to be what we didn't hear and what we did hear from Mr. Phillips. But I did get a sense, I don't know, maybe I was just, hoping this to be the case, but there almost seems to be some momentum towards this idea. Like, he is resigned to the fact that the ACC is not going to be able to compete. He even mentioned other neighborhoods and that he was all right living in other neighborhoods. So, like, maybe
that one was unfortunate.
That was a toughie. Well, when he said that, Ira, I was like, well, you're done here, sir. You have now officially that's it. I mean, as if everything you said preceding that comment didn't reveal just how desperate the situation is. Now you're trying to tell people, we got to move. Daddy can't pay the mortgage. We got to go. We're moving to that sorry-ass neighborhood that your friend lives in. This is like, that's what he was saying. But when he said it, I thought to myself, you know what? He's crying poor mouth. Again, can't pay the rent. That's fine. He wants out. Man, let us go. Let us go. What if the rest of us can? What if we can't afford to live in that neighborhood? Let's let the people who don't want to move with you move. There's no way that'll happen, but it almost felt like he was resigned to it.
Do you think there's also, maybe the message wasn't just for other conferences? Maybe the message was also for the Florida State and the Clemson,
correct,
and the North Carolinas to, hey, you guys are going to ruin sports even further if you do this just out of your own greed.
Yeah, but
so you need to think about that. But it's like, yeah, that's easy for you to say. I mean, you're going to make $4 million a year no matter what we do.
Yeah, Jim, it's already been decided, baby. I don't know what plea it's gone. Clemson's gone. If tomorrow Florida State, Clemson, and several others, if there was a path and it was defined as to how you could get out, they would do it. And if that meant that they got help from whichever league wanted to pluck them, they would do it. They would do it. And I don't know, man. I'm not more angry. I'm just blown away at how sad that was. That was the dying of the light. I mean, what we just that was it.
I mean, because and that was one of the differences between, and I knew it was going to be different this year because really the last 5-6 years, as the revenue gap between the SEC and the Big Ten and all the other conferences was growing, there was always the hope of, okay, at some point we're going to get a network, and at some point that network is going to bring in additional money, and it may not be as much money, but maybe it'll shrink the gap somewhat. But then what's happened these last 2 years with the SEC expanding again, and then the Big Ten expanding again, and then the numbers get projected out over the next decade, and people realize, okay, the gap is not going to shrink; it's going to expand tenfold. And now you're like, okay, well, the conversation is different. And last year he was a new AD, or he was a new commissioner of the conference. So I think people were, going to give him a little bit of time. But now here we are a year later, and there's no more. There's nothing hopeful to point to. There's nothing. The network already has been tried. They have a network. It's not going to close the gap. And so unless you can go expand, now he didn't shut the door on expansion. He did say that everything's on the table a couple of times, including revenue sharing. So this didn't change my opinion. Going back a month ago, I thought the two things that they can look at is expansion again and changing the revenue sharing model to where you start giving the Florida States and Clemson's, a few other schools, some extra money. I think, to me, I'm convinced that has to be happening because he has no other answers. There's nothing else he can do.
I did think it was a Freudian slip when he said 17.
Right.
I mean, he said 17 and then went 15 teams. I mean, come on, that can't be a coincidence. I think that's
what the mindset is for sure.
Yeah, I think they're adding 2 teams. Is there any speculation on which 2?
I haven't heard up here. No, I haven't heard up here. Coming into the week, just a lot of the same names. A lot of people have speculated maybe a school in Texas just to get that revenue market, and then there's a couple other schools in the closer to the footprint that might be on the table as well.
In the chat, Ira Thomas writes, France appealing to Germany's humanity in 1941.
we could probably come up with a lot of it.
Oh, that was so good. The whole time I went, oh no, you poor man. I was waiting for somebody to come up there and give him a hug.
Francis president holds a press conference. Hey, have you guys realized what you're doing to our neighborhood here?
Yeah.
This isn't the best for everybody.
This is untenable. I mean, I've trimmed the hedges. I've done all that I can, but all of you are coming in here and just ruining things, dropping bombs on my neighbor. Yeah, this is that was something to behold. Well, as far as FSU goes, real quick, your observation on Norvell and Jordan, anything. I'm going to ask Tom next hour also. We're going to have a hit from him, but I am curious your thoughts on anything from FSU. Something strikes me here just from a distance, and it was happening more and more when I was going every year too. And I'll get your opinion on this because I'm not there right now. Boy, not only does FSU need to get back to winning for all the obvious reasons, but man, it's tough when you go to those things and they're an afterthought. Are they still just a complete afterthought?
Well, here's what happened this year, and it was great for us in the local media, Warchant and a few other outlets who were here as well, because we basically got the FSU guys totally to ourselves. And I don't think that's because they're an afterthought. It's because they were the first group to go after Jim Phillips. So all of the media were busy torching Jim Phillips. They were all writing their columns, torching the ACC, so they couldn't be bothered to come over there and interview Mike Norvell and the players. So really, man, it was local media. We got basically about a half hour with each player and coach, and then more time in a stepper breakout as well. So it's been awesome. We got plenty of content from those guys. The biggest takeaways, I think, one is you can just see Jordan Travis, just the comfort level. Last year, we talked a lot about how Mackenzie Milton was here also, and he kind of felt like Jordan was a little brother. Well, now, man, he is the guy that's, carrying himself a little bit differently, and he's put on some more weight. He's over 210 pounds. He's just, you could just see he's settling into that role, which is good. I think that could help him on the field. And then the defensive guys, Jamie Robinson and Fabian Levitt are here, and they are super confident, man. That group, they feel like what we saw in the second half of last season, the work they put in the offseason and the transfers they brought in, they really feel like this team's going to be a completely different team from last year. So it's all talk right now, but it sounds good.
I'm excited, man. The season can't get here soon enough. I for a lot of reasons. We know the importance of the year. It's going to be fun to cover it and watch it and all that. Plus, we all love football. So if you just, appeal to our core passion for the sport, but also because it'll be the first thing that distracts us from having this conversation every day, which is what the hell are we going to do moving forward? That's
one more idea. Could we go over to Golden Eagle and just set up a bake sale or a lemonade sale? Or maybe the ACC can do that. The ACC, the next ACC championship game, we can have a big lemonade stand.
What is Jim doing right now? Drinking?
Yes.
It's what time is it? 1:48. Jim, you got to pop them early today, baby.
No rocks.
Oh,
great.
Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, Jim. Have a good one, brother. Thanks.
See you, Jeff.
All right. Holy hell. That's a toughie. The Jeff Cameron Show PR firm, somebody brought it up. I hadn't thought about it. I don't know if I want to touch this one, and I'm notorious. I'll take on some tough cases. I mean, I've taken on some cases that Tom has backed away from the table and said, I can't believe you're considering taking this case. Somebody has to do it. There are defense attorneys for a reason, Tom. I know this man murdered 19 people. He's got to have proper representation or else the system doesn't work. Taking the case. Money's green. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Leon County was awarded by the Center for Digital Government as the best county for tech in Florida and the fourth best county in America for its size. They were also awarded for the work in hosting the NCAA Cross Country Championships. The county ran fiber optics to allow for viewing everywhere around the course and provided free Wi-Fi for 8,500 athletes and attendees, and provided the infrastructure for ESPN to be able to broadcast live from the event. There were 3,000 eligible counties, and Leon County was the only one in Florida to receive an award. The Leon County Sheriff's Office Narcotics Unit unit arrested a man wanted under a drug warrant Monday in the Capitol Circle area. Lloyd C., 41, was taken into custody after deputies found more than 15 grams of meth and drug paraphernalia in his possession. The narcotics unit was performing a proactive operation when it noticed C. in the area of Mahan Drive and Capitol Circle. He was booked into the Leon County Jail. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 90, southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight, lows level off around 76. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 91, a mix of clouds and sun. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 74.
Hey, Nole fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floor. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
Think? There was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road.
That the fan base feels, but I don't know if I properly worded it. In this short segment here, we're going to get a hit from Tom Lang in the next hour, get his thoughts on some of what he heard today and saw, especially from Florida State. I'm not surprised to hear in reaction to Ira's comments here that the reaction there was the same that we felt here. I mean, you and I, before the show, Matthew, going over the sound bites we wanted to use, I don't know, the more I listened to it in order to timestamp them, the more incredulous I got. The more I thought, oh, no, and we were just talking during the break. It was a little bit like those little Easter eggs in great movies that you enjoy. Like the next time that you go watch The Big Lebowski, you see something else that you hadn't seen the other 10 times you've seen the film. You're like, oh, that's brilliant. I never saw that, noticed that before. When you go back and listen to Jim Phillips, just in regards to the level of desperation and no clear path out from under this hell, you see and hear something else that he says, and you go, what? Sir, read the room. I'm going to say it again. Read the room. Why would you? Again, I think Jim's a smart guy. But not everybody does a really good job of taking the temperature. You got to know when to use these anecdotes. When you're sitting around the fire and everybody's having a good time, feeling pretty good, and somebody goes to the cooler to grab another one, that's not the time to bring up the most depressing thing you can think of. We're having a good time here, guys. We don't need to hear about your ailing brother or sister or the time your father got into that accident. No, let's just keep it light, having a good time here. Read the room or the situation, take a temperature. So why would you use the story of how it was that you felt when you left Notre Dame and people questioned it to take over the Northern Illinois gig? Why would you do that here and now? You cannot do that. I would have guessed. This happens sometimes, right? Husbands, wives, you start to say something, you think it's a good idea, and then you hear it. And you hear it as you say it. You're like, ooh, whoa, I better dial that back. That does not come across well. I was about to say she's fat in that dress. That's not a good idea. When he began to go down the path of talking about higher education, there should have been alarm bells going off. When he appealed to the morality of the other conference commissioners and what's at stake in regards to higher education, alarm bells should have gone off. When he began to tell us his own very real story of leaving Notre Dame and going to Northern Illinois, it should have been deafening, the sound of those alarm bells. This is not the time nor place to talk about downsizing, sir. This isn't the time. You got to give somebody something to feel good about themselves, and all you're doing is telling us we're effed. We're all effed. You know it and I know it. What do you want me to do? He might as well just come out there. Hey, everybody, you know the deal. I'm going to cut you off at the pass. Yeah, you, Keith from Roanoke. Yeah, you, Ira from Warchant. I don't need your questions. I already know what you're going to ask. You're going to ask me, how the hell are we going to get unscrewed? Well, we can't. We can't. And better yet, the Grant of Rights guarantees you're all going down with us.
Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Do you want to save money? Do you want to be more comfortable in your home? Check a Pro Joe here. Tune into my show this weekend on Saturday and Sunday at 12 noon. Tom the Attic Fanatic from Koala Insulation will be explaining how you can save money and bring more comfort to your life. Tune in this Saturday and Sunday at 12 noon for the Check a Pro radio show for energy savings and comfort solutions. To get a free attic inspection from Koala Insulation, call now 850-757-2838. That's 850-757-2838.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Where did I put that?
Pete's property manager just took an extended vacation.
Let's go see the dreams.
He needs a replacement before this becomes a cruel summer.
Oh, you wanted the lakefront for the 17th? How did this get double booked already?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a court-ordered notice. If you were subject to the data breaches of the United States Office of Personnel Management and you experienced an out-of-pocket loss after the breaches, you could be eligible for a payment from a class action settlement. To see if you're eligible, go to opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567. That's opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
More of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Washington correspondent Mike Grassi says President Biden is holding off on a climate emergency declaration.
President Joe Biden travels to Massachusetts today to promote his efforts to combat climate change, but the White House dashed hopes for those anticipating a climate emergency declaration.
Everything is on the table. It's just not going to be this week on that decision.
At Tuesday's White House briefing, spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre said the prospect of issuing a climate emergency in the future is still on the table. Pressure on Biden to take action intensified after Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia pulled out of negotiations on climate legislation last week. Additionally, the focus on climate has heightened amid a searing heat wave that's blasting Europe. Mike Grassi, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, a disbarred South Carolina attorney has pleaded not guilty to murdering his wife and son.
Alex Murdaugh's defense agreed to ask the judge to deny him bond, saying he can't afford to post it anyway. They say he wants a speedy trial because he feels his wife and son's killer or killers are still on the loose. That the prosecution rejects. They told the judge all evidence points to Murdaugh's guilt in the shootings. Murdaugh has been behind bars since October, charged with financial crimes and several other misdeeds uncovered after the killings of his wife Maggie and the 22-year-old son Paul at the family's hunting estate last summer. Defense and prosecution have agreed to keep evidence in the case secret. I'm Ben Thomas.
Elon Musk has lost his fight to delay Twitter's lawsuit against him, as a Delaware judge has set an October trial citing a cloud of uncertainty over the social media company after the billionaire backed out of a deal to buy it for $44 billion. Stocks are mixed now. The Dow is down 120 points, but the NASDAQ is up 112. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're considering protecting your retirement with gold or silver, listen up. Mark Davis here. One company I trust for this, Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. They are so passionate about teaching people how to own physical gold and silver. They've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because they really educate their clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. Talk to one of their experts. They can send you a free gold kit along with a free copy of the Wall Street Journal national bestseller, The Great Devaluation. Number again, 800-900-8000. Don't wait any longer. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value, all from Advantage Gold. 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Call Advantage Gold today. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Summertime is color time. This summer, why not spend your time off with a home improvement project? You can use this time to try one of the most popular DIY projects, painting. And you can find your favorite color with one of America's most popular paints, Benjamin Moore. Shop for all the best paint colors and paint supplies at Epps Decorating Center with 2 convenient locations in town. Find out more online at epsdecorating.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're at it. You can listen to the podcast. Appreciate that as well. Make sure you subscribe to that. The Warchant app, baby. It's all housed right there. Shows, podcasts, all the stuff we produce. It's all right there. I bring it up because, it was an interesting conversation about the desperation one feels and then a commissioner's effort to try to perhaps lend a hand and some hope, but it didn't happen today at all. And that really let you know, I'll reiterate here, it really let you know just how poorly this has gone for the ACC. I want to bring up something here. There's an excellent piece. I saw some guys on the boards had this. I'm glad they did because I had read it as well. And then I saw some folks on the Warchant board, message boards were commenting on it. And it's a great article, but it's one that I'm hoping the ACC adopts. If you're resigned to being a second-class citizen and there is no chance for you to compete at the highest levels of football, and you think it's a travesty that this is the route that universities have gone in their pursuit of the almighty dollar, well, then fine. Go back to doing it your way. Adhere to those tenets and allow those that like to walk to walk. That'd be great. But I'm not going to read the whole. I'm not going to talk down to you and read this entire article. But I will read the beginning of it by Ned Barnett. It was in the Charlotte Observer, I do believe. And it's talking about the uncertainty that clouds big-time college football's future. The two mega conferences, obviously the SEC and the Big Ten, having lured away key schools from less wealthy conferences, right? And you go to Oklahoma and Texas, they depart the Big 12, go to the SEC, Midwest-based Big Ten announcing that they've expanded the West Coast by taking USC and UCLA. And the consolidation is about, I'm quoting from the piece, the consolidation is about what the keepers of major college football can never have enough of, money. But it's also about impoverishment, both monetary and moral. Now, you heard a little bit of that today from Jim Phillips, appealing to the bigger picture of what this does to higher education. And of course, when you hear it, you roll your eyes because even if you agree with him, and I would think that in principle most do, but the ship sailed ages ago. You can't now retroactively here, decide, hey, this may not be good for the sport, everybody. May not be good for the university system, for academics, may not be good for the collegiate model. What are we trying to be professional football? It already exists and they do it better. No, you can't do that. Now, that's it. Horse is out of the barn, baby. And we talk about their, whether it's an academic mission or an arms race, we know where we stand. And he was asked about being Pollyanna. In fact, we have that audio clip. I want to play that in conjunction with what I'm talking about here, Matthew. It's the one where he's asked about, where he's basically asked and told, look, people are going to criticize you for the way that you're viewing this. And here's his response. Here's the question and the response.
Joe Giglio from WRAL. How are you, Jim? Your sincerity and the belief in the collegiate model is obvious. I don't think anyone can question that. But in fairness to you, we are going to be critical of that because it does seem a bit old-fashioned. Do you think this attitude still works in 2022 and that it'll still work in the next 5 to 10 years for the ACC as you get lapped financially by the Big Ten and the SEC?
we owe it to those kids, Joe. This is no time to be waving a white flag on that. And I'm not trying to be Pollyannish about it, because I live in the real world, in the real time, just like all of us do, and times change and move. But for us to ignore the affordability and access and opportunity that it provides to young people, I think that would be a huge mistake, huge mistake. And I'm okay with living in different neighborhoods. That's not my point about you got to be in the gated community. My point is the community is best when all neighborhoods are healthy, all of them. Some will never reach 25 or $30 million in revenue to provide for their athletics department. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve to be a part of it, to part of the system, part of championships at times. And we're talking about different levels within Division I. We're talking about subdivisions and all of those kinds of things in the transformation committee. But if we take that path, that it's only going to be about football and basketball, that's shame on all of us. It just is. And I understand the criticism that comes with that, and that's okay. I think it's up for public debate and opinion about what's right. And I understand about getting lapped. I do. I get it. I've been in those conferences. I worked in the Big 12 or Big 10 for 12 years. I was in the SEC, but I was also in the Mid-American Conference. And I know what those kids did at Northern Illinois. The only thing that was different was the name on the jersey and the colors. They were just as committed to having a great experience as those coaches were just as committed.
Yeah, Jim, we're not, at least on behalf of Florida State, we're not okay with being relegated to a subdivision. We don't want to live in a different neighborhood. We like this one here, the big one that we've lived in for some time. We would like to continue to live in it. But that is now being challenged and threatened. He mentions the transformation committee. That's fine. And I want to say something here. Jim Phillips, I would have probably opted to word things slightly different. The truth is, Jim Phillips didn't obviously make this mess. So for anybody that missed it, I'm not blaming Jim Phillips for Florida State's problem, the ACC's issues. He is the active commissioner, however, and today felt like a very sad, but honest to an extent, admission that there's no way out. There's no way to compete. But when you start talking about, as you sit there at the dais amongst these schools, when you start talking about it's okay with playing in a different neighborhood, and you're the active commissioner of the ACC at a time of great crisis in college football where money is dictating terms, you're all but admitting that you cannot raise the level of revenue to be competitive with those two power conferences. So now you've let your schools know that if they desire to do that, it ain't going to be here. And again, I know he understands the reality of this situation, but it is Pollyanna to sit around and talk about what we're doing to college athletics and it being solely about money in football and basketball, because the time for that discussion was long before now, and it has since passed. To bring it up now is as if to say, I know we can't get on board with what those two mega conferences are doing, and I think it's shameful that they're doing that, and I hope they realize that and extend a helping hand. Well, they're not going to, man. They're not going to. They know what they're doing, and they don't care. It is about the money. Now, there's a lot about the collegiate system, about athletics in college sports. There is a lot about education. None of you are tuned in to me to hear me talk about that, but I've got all kinds of opinions about what we've done to the value of a degree and all this other stuff. But you wouldn't go to this ACC kickoff and have that conversation. It's not the time. It also, it certainly reveals that there is no path. surely they continue to these conversations. I mean, what's the line? I wrote it down here. Revenue consultants. We're looking at our television contract. You bet you are. Yeah, I imagine you are. There's a line he had in here about the revenue consultants in which they're exploring other ways. And man, the only way is to get your 50-50 partner on board with your way of thinking, which is to say that if it comes down to just 2 mega conferences, then the health of the sport and your finances are affected. Please help us out. Come to the table and renegotiate this deal so that we have a chance to compete. Since we are, quote unquote, 50-50 partners, and the ACC is, this is not debatable, it is a fact, an asset. It may not be as valuable an asset to ESPN as the SEC. Of course, it isn't as valuable an asset as the SEC is to ESPN, but the ACC is an asset. And most people aren't inclined to just throw away assets, not without getting something in return. The hope here is that what we know to be inevitable is seen through the eyes of those making great decisions, the big decisions down the line at these networks, as hey, you know what? Let's take our most valuable assets within this ACC umbrella and put it where we can increase the value of the greater asset, which is the SEC, and then spin off this other asset into something entirely different that is understood and agreed upon by those that stay behind. Because I'll tell you something right now. You will watch both. You will watch the big boy football in these 2 mega conferences, whether that is 48 teams, 60 teams, whatever it is. You're going to watch that. Of course you are. And you'll look at that and say, this is different. This is a thing over here. And you'll enjoy it for what it is. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you hate it. I don't know. Maybe you're lukewarm about it. Maybe that leads people to say this very thing. And I've thought about this before, and I wonder if college football's higher-ups have. At what point does the guy that always loved college football more than pro football because of its collegiate nature and all that other stuff, at what point do you just decide, well, why am I watching NFL Light? Why don't I just watch the NFL? If it's going to be about the money, if it's going to be about who's got the most money, I'll go to a place where we have a competitive model that allows everybody to compete because there's a salary cap. And I know exactly what these contracts mean for these players. And I know that if my team sucks this given year, it doesn't have to stay that way for very long because I've got the first pick in the draft. Why wouldn't I just watch that instead of this? That's a different question. I don't know if they're thinking about that. But you'll watch that. And then you know what else you'll watch? You'll watch Marshall versus Tulane. For a variety of reasons, you'll watch that. You may be even more inclined to watch those kinds of games when this all shakes out. And we do have NFL football, NFL Light, and then this other thing. Maybe you will be inclined, for those that get left behind, to watch, I don't know, Arizona versus Iowa State on a Saturday afternoon, knowing that this is the different thing, but it feels a lot more like college football than this other thing that's been created. Maybe you will. I'll watch both because I love football. But it is going to be a very different thing. It's just a matter of which teams are going to be part of this, which teams are going to be part of that. We know Florida State's chips are in the middle of the table. They have decided a long time ago when they built that stadium and they added on to the erector set and decided, we want to play big boy football. We're a national power. Bobby Bowden has created this national power. So there's no going back. So we know what we are and what we want to be. And we know, and so does Clemson for that matter. And I imagine there's a handful of other schools in this conference that feel that exact same way. The sooner we can get out there and call this for what it is and guys can start making decisions. And I get it. It's not easy to walk away from the potential revenue. But can you compete? Do your alumni, do your boosters, do those folks want to do that? This group does. Now, the question becomes, to what degree can they? Well, listen, if they're eating from the same money trough from the new TV deal when they're part of the expanding SEC or the Big Ten, then yes, they can. To what degree, right? At some point, diminishing returns and all that stuff comes into play. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's frustrating today further cemented the belief by most already before the speech that the ACC is absolutely screwed. Tom Lang joins us next from Charlotte. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Sellers Tile does it better for business owners, contractors, designers, and homeowners. Better design ideas, better quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring, better mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions. And Sellers makes it easier with their amazing showroom and first-class professionals. Maybe it's time to get Sellers working for you on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com for better style, quality, and design. Go with Sellers in Tallahassee. Call 656-8453.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with complete pre-approval underwriting. It used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon, the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing loan. NMLS number 2270146.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to drink water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network.
And the article rightfully cuts to the chase about where the ACC's at. And the gig is up. That's it. And there was a media expert that talked to the News and Observer. Quote, we're going to end up with 3.5 conferences in the end. We know who 2 of them are. The question is, what will happen with everything else? The article goes on to say, now the expanded ACC may break up. ACC schools with the most national prominence in football will be absorbed into the mega conferences. Yes, let's get to the getting. And I appreciate that. I like this resignation. I would like the commissioner and the others who know that they do not seek to compete at the highest levels and eat from that trough to let all of those that would like to and have the prominence to do so to leave without penalty. Doubt that's going to happen, but at least give us a path. Final part before I go to Tom Lang, who joins us from Charlotte. The ACC will try to remake itself to stay in the big-time football game, but its best course may be to go back to its roots, focus on basketball, stress academic quality, quit the arms race of the ever-bigger facilities and ever-higher-paid coaches. Maybe the top ACC football schools will leave the conference, but what may come back is football in proper proportion. Few ACC schools are ever going to be good enough to beat Alabama or Ohio State for a national title, and it's not going to get any easier. The ACC should just invest in its strengths, not its weaknesses, and move on. Oh, please let that happen, everybody. And for those of us that do care and can and have beaten Ohio State and others, let us go do so. Tom is there in Charlotte, holding it down, warchant.com, of course. Hello, good sir.
What's up, man? I'm not okay with living in a different neighborhood. How about you?
Nope. I like this one. It's a nice neighborhood. It's been good to me and my kids, and I can afford to be here. Why do I have to leave? Oh, man. So that was something, but I want to ask you more pointed questions about anything and everything that has to do with FSU, because that's the other part of this. Mostly, last hour, I spoke with Ira about what looked to be a meek, sad, resigned commissioner of a conference that's dying. But we're still here, and they are going to have a season, and practice begins next week. Rumor is 1 week from today, practice begins. So that will, for the time being, allow for us to escape onto the football field, and it's an important season. And so I imagine there were questions for Mike Norvell and the 3-player representatives. Your thoughts on what they had to say? I'll let you go big picture.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think confidence would be the word that I use. It's not bravado. Nobody's proclaiming 10 wins or an ACC championship, but everybody just has an extra quiet confidence about them. I think it's because this offseason for a lot of these players has been one of continuity. You know, even last year, you're coming off of the COVID season. You don't really know what things should run and look like under Mike Norvell and his program. And on the heels of finishing 5-3 last year, they figured some things out. They carried that over into the spring. I think a lot of the cancerous elements of this program were cut out of the program. So it just seems like the guys are relatively on the same page. Now, this is pie in the sky season, an event like this, and then FSU's subsequent media day and some of the things that are said in camp. But there's just an earnestness in the confidence that I'm gathering from each of these players individually, and there's no mistaking it either. The 3 guys that are here all have a giant 12-game season in front of them for their own careers and future aspirations, and you can sense that too.
Yeah, so on that front, obviously the leader of this team and the unquestioned leader of this team this year, unlike last year when you were there at this time, very different questions being asked, is Jordan Travis. Now, I know some of the conversation has centered around him putting on weight, and while I care about that, I'm not interested in going down that road. He's going to always be a little smallish in that sense. It's nice that he's over 200 pounds now. Good. How he throws, how he plays, the decisions he makes, and where his head's at as we start camp is what I'm interested in. Anything revealing about what Jordan Travis had to say about this upcoming season?
Just that, you know, it's clear that it's his show. This is his program to run. And you kind of saw the body language during spring camp, but there was no doubt in the way he was carrying himself on the field. Sometimes he would have bad days in spring camp. Sometimes he'd have good days, but he knew it was his club. And I asked him that question because he deferred to some of the players he's learned from, including and leading with Mackenzie Milton last year. But he sat in the exact same seat, in the exact same room that he did last year. Usually they move the players around, and I said, there's no other quarterback over there, so what does it feel like? How does it feel that this is yours now? This is your group. And it was hard for him to keep the smile off his face. You know, he was mostly stoic, but in that moment he said it's very exciting. And he also went into his leadership style, which is he's not a rah-rah or curse somebody out kind of guy. He's somebody that's going to pull you aside, deliver the message that needs to be delivered. It seems like this is a player who knows how he wants things to operate. He knows how he wants to lead. He knows how he wants things to be structured. And now he has a chance to affect that change and make it his own. So we'll see what that does, what it parlays the season into. But he's somebody who has grown into his own. And that's what we'll be watching very closely here this time next week.
Well, the questions surround this offense primarily and how much further he can take them, how much better they are up front. Have they gotten better at wide receiver? Does he have more options? That's all interesting. But I think the other side of the football is fascinating, and that there seems to be, and I want you to comment on Jamie Robinson and Fabian Lovett, there seems to be a confidence within this group, no doubt born out of the second half of the season when the team went 5-3 over its last 8 games and played a pretty consistently solid brand of defense, unlike what we saw through the first 4 weeks, which was simply putrid. Was that reflected in their commentary today?
Yeah, mostly I'd say with Jamie Robinson. Fabian Lovett went into some detail about specific players on the defensive line and some of the guys he's proud of. But Jamie Robinson spoke to that moment that things kind of changed for them because he was pretty open. He said that, you know, of the groups on the defensive side of the ball, the secondary was the group that we were letting the team down. It was our fault. And we had to reconcile that. We had to gather ourselves together, deliver a message that, you know, this blank is not going to stand. We need to get better, and it has to be starting with us because we're the ones who are not pulling our own weight. And that's when things change. He said communication lines were drawn. He even alluded to a couple of the relationships he has with his segment mates in which they weren't really friendly off the field, but they found a way to connect off the field and get to know each other, and that's how they've grown, and the chemistry has grown on the field. I mean, I think it's part and parcel, though, to a couple of things. You remember this last year. They simplified the amount of guys that were coming in and rotating on the field, and that's when they grew. The players seemed to be playing within their roles. But Jamie Robinson spoke to that today, how it wasn't just about schematics or personnel. It was also, you know, they had to have it come to Jesus among themselves. Players only, no coaches, and that's what they've done, and he's carrying a lot of confidence to these meetings today.
Did they mention anything about their defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller?
No, not a whole lot. But then again, you know, to protect that, I don't want to sound like I was there for every word that they spoke throughout the breakouts. I was kind of wandering back and forth between guys just to catch certain questions, ask questions I wanted to. Nobody really that I was in front of talked a lot about Coach Fuller, but they all talked about the direction and how they feel like they understand the process now. So, I mean, without bringing his name up, I'm sure that's a way of evoking an Adam Fuller response, but I wasn't there for 100% of what they said, so I want to be careful on that one.
To the head coach, obviously we all know how important this season is for Mike Norvell. It's been talked about ad nauseum. We know that, but it is. There's no escaping that. He's certainly well aware of it, and I like that he's never hid from that. He's also been very careful about setting the tone and what those expectations should be. Unlike his predecessor, he hasn't made over-the-top promises of the highest scoring offense in the country and a record that would have us knocking on the door of the college football playoff. But he's got to produce this year, and we know that. What were his thoughts on the upcoming season and where he's at? Because he's better equipped to have a season of significance than he's ever been here by far. He actually has let's say, a decent offensive line with a modicum of depth. Thoughts on Mike Norvell?
Okay, so a couple of times the offensive line was brought up today. He couldn't help himself but giggle, and I mean that in a giddy and relieved way. I put that out on Twitter. It happened in the breakout room, and then when we got the local media exclusive, same thing. He was asked about the offensive line, and the second question he was asked was, you know, look, last year you couldn't even field a second-team offensive line to work with your backups because, well, we fixed that, didn't we? You know, and he started to chuckle. You can tell he does feel equipped. He said 3 powerful words that you'll see on Warchant TV. Check out that video after the show's over today. But success is coming. That's one of the things he said. And the way he relayed that was, look, this has been a long rebuild and a retool. And I don't know if he used the word rebuild, but this is essentially what he was getting at. It's taken a while to get where we're going, but this is how you build long-term success, is you make sure that you build things the right way, you find culture fits, and then you develop from there. So I don't think he was proclaiming that 8 wins are coming, 10 wins are coming, but he's saying success is coming, and he knows what the stakes are this year. It's just, you could see it in his eyes. He feels better equipped to have the fight than he has the last couple of years of this event.
Yeah, and he's not resigned to anything either. He is in the midst of the fight. He is there on the field. He cares deeply because he's committed to that process. And I know those are all code words and things that we roll our eyes at. Eventually, we want to see tangible success. But I think that because he's been unwavering, that guy wants it more than anybody because he's got the kids who bought in. So he cares about them, and that we know to be true. So I'm not surprised to hear you say that he's excited for what they might be. Hey, good work, brother. I'll see you tomorrow, and safe travels, and thanks for reporting there at the ACC Kickoff.
We stay in this neighborhood, buddy. That's what we say. We don't move.
Somebody's going to have to help us with the mortgage.
Come on.
I'll see you soon.
Jump down.
Oh, man. Good stuff. That's T. Lizzie, producer extraordinaire, and you know, it's funny. I mean, it's not even, what are we? It's 1:35, 2:35. I'm losing track of time. I'm thinking to myself, I just did not expect the language to be, it wasn't rudderless. It was resigned. I almost wish it were rudderless. And then you'd be like, well, that was confusing. He doesn't seem to know. This was worse, you know, because this was oh, I know, guys. I know what you know. I'm not even trying to disguise it. If, and this is to answer some of the questions that have come up along the way in the chat. If Florida State has a good season, it is remarkable how all of it turns around and how quickly it does. For the better part of, I don't know, 40 years, Clemson was irrelevant. Did nothing. Basically post 80. There's a long stretch of nothingness. Got it together, dominated the sport for a handful of years, and has forever changed not only their cachet, but their brand and the way that they're thought of. And it would take a lot to undo that. Florida State is, by all metrics, by the way, television ratings, valuations, money, all that, a huge asset to the world of college football. That doesn't change with 5 bad seasons. 20? Yeah, probably 20. So that's the fear you can put down. That if there's a way out, Florida State and Clemson get gobbled up quick. It's about brands now and not markets per se. A little bit more to it. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
Tallahassee Police Department announced Tuesday afternoon it is investigating the death of an 11-month-old child. The child was left in a parked vehicle for an extended period of time at the 1700 block of Mahan Center Boulevard. TPD reports the child died because of injuries sustained. Tallahassee Police Department detectives ask anyone who may have any information regarding the incident to call TPD at 850-891-4200 or to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. The Wakulla County Sheriff's Office says its deputies responded to multiple reports of vehicle burglaries in the Crawfordville area this past weekend. Deputies were able to track down the burglar from a mobile app on the victim's cell phone that the suspect stole. Detectives were able to respond to an address located in Leon County where the suspect was found, later identified as Ian Campbell. The suspect was linked to all reported vehicle burglaries. Campbell was arrested without incident and taken to the Wakulla County Jail. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 90. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight, lows level off around 76. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 91, a mix of clouds and sun. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 76.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness.
Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shop.
Select few. We are not the professional ranks. This isn't the NFL or NBA light. This shouldn't be a winner-take-all or zero-sum structure. College sports has never been elitist or singular commercially. Again, Jim, you can argue if you'd like, as we do in philosophy class, what ought to be. But there is the reality of our situation, the what is. And I don't know that talking about what ought to be on the biggest stage on the heels of the move this offseason by the Big Ten and the season before by the SEC is the time to engage in what ought to be. But he did. And that was something to behold. I mean, these, for the conference commissioners, in particular of the Power Five, the conference commissioners, this is their state of the union. It is not a time to project weakness, even if the situation is dire. And it is. Curious to think what I would love to be a fly on the wall. I would love to hear what the university presidents think. It's the classic, who's coming with me? Because I guarantee you there are plenty, and the sooner we know who they are, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but when you get into debates with people, and you get into debates with people you care about anyhow, because you shouldn't get into debates with people you don't know, because what the hell do you care? But with people you do care about, whose opinion you respect, when you're in a disagreement, a lot of times one of the ways to help clarify and succinctly either further the discussion or end it is to define your terms. So often it's rather nebulous. You're kind of dancing around the margins. You're not talking about the same thing. How do you define this? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you understood I believe this, this, and this, and or these are the facts. Let's get that out there so we can talk about this and have an honest discussion. Maybe we're on the same side of the issue. Maybe we're not. But if we don't define our terms, we'll never know. We'll just continue with these circular arguments. So I'd like to know that. Which of you endeavor to head on down the road to big boy football with us, and which of you realize that your institution is not capable? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you. It's okay. But here's where we stand. this school, this school, this school, this school, and this school would like to leave now, and they have either the infrastructure, the booster support, the money, whatever, the endowment they would like to leave, and they feel they can afford to do so. If you have resigned yourself to the idea as a conference, and you being the commissioner, Jim Phillips, that there is no path for the ACC to compete at the highest levels, not as currently constructed with the revenue gaps, and you don't think there are enough teams that can help you get there, because let's be honest, we know, and they think of themselves this way, this is largely the problem, as a basketball conference. That's what it is. They're the best basketball conference. Continue to be. I know that there have been ups and downs in a given year. Sometimes other conferences rise up, but most consistently for the longest period of time, and for a very long time now, the ACC is thought of and branded certainly as a basketball conference. So they've had a hard time in terms of perception, in terms of the way that they're viewed. For a long time, they've had a hard time shaking that. They're not going to probably be able to shake it, not with schools like Boston College, Syracuse, Wake Forest, to some extent Virginia, and on down the line, right? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So if you decide to embrace that that's what's going to be, well, then go do it. Let's define our terms. Who's in and who's out? Wake, they decided to stay down here. Got it. The alluded to and aforementioned subdivisions that he talked about in that speech, right? The Transformation Committee. So you go from, okay, here's where we're at. We're doing this. This is what we're going to be. Who's in, who's out? Now we know. I wonder who the two teams are, because we should probably revisit that discussion. I don't think it was an accident that he slipped. I referred to it as a Freudian slip when he said 17 teams. Our 17 teams are committed, as far as I know. He quickly added the caveat, as far as I know, which is code for I damn well know there are plenty of these teams are trying to get the hell up out of here. But, okay, fine. When he said 17, later on, he was called on it, and they brought it up, and then he went, well, okay, 15 teams, sorry. I went with your question about expansion. Yeah, there are 17. You're looking at 17. Who are the two? And by the way, 17 doesn't make sense to me. Either go to 16 or 18. They're at 15. Let's see what ends up happening with that. I don't. Who would it be, right? West Virginia's moved to the Big 12. Would they move again? Has it been a disaster for them? Yeah. I don't know that there are allegiances or anything like that anymore that matter. Certainly, they're contractually, it's interesting. But what makes the most amount of sense? Now, he talked about there are lots of ways to judge value or relevance, right? Isn't that what he said? And he said, he brought up academics, and I went, oh, my man, we're not talking about Harvard and Penn. Don't do it. Then he said there's academics, then there's athletic success, whatever that was, and then you can also judge it by money. He said that. All right, well, that's what we're judging it by right now, because that's what's going to dictate terms with any addition to the conference. There might be other factors. Are they an institution, an upstanding institution, accredited and all that stuff, of course. But assuming that you're not shopping around for junior colleges, then what are we doing here? Who are you looking at? Who adds value monetarily? Who increases the value of the television contract that you can negotiate, the one with ESPN, significantly? Who does? Does USF? I'm just throwing around team names, programs that might be excited about possibly joining, say, the ACC instead of the Big 12, or knows that they're not going to get an invite to the big dance.
The most impactful would have to be Oregon, right?
You do some coast-to-coast thing. You have a Pacific division and an Atlantic division.
And then the Phil Knight money.
Right, Oregon and Washington. But I think the Big Ten's going to add them. Maybe, maybe not. If not, you should be in negotiations with them. I mean, yeah, sure. Could you pick up but see, this is a race to see who's left out, because if you're moving to 3 power conferences, 3 big time power conferences, 3 big football television deals, then it's a race between the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 as to who survives. So 2 of them are going to align, right? If you're the one left out in the cold, this game is over. Jim Phillips had best be actively on the phone working his ass off to procure a future for what feels like a dead-in-the-water league. The only way, and it won't be SEC or Big Ten money, but the only way to get something akin to that, something relatively close to that, something that allows you to compete on the level, then you better grab some real name players in this mix and do so and announce it quickly, because the other 2 are doing it regardless. If you're just there hoping that people are going to do the right thing in the name of college athletics or academics, well, you're not reading the room. You have not taken a look at the landscape. Power is an anticipation, not reaction. You're going to have to be the man. He's new around here. I'm not ripping him for this situation. It's a situation he inherited, but I am curious to see, because the front pushed out there today, the image possessed today that is in our mind, that we captured in our brain right now, is one of a broken man resigned to his fate. I could be really wrong about that. I hope I am, to some extent. I don't have a problem with Jim Phillips at all. In the limited time I've ever talked to him, he's a smart guy, obviously. What he did at Northwestern is a borderline miracle. So, maybe behind the scenes, while he's presenting one image publicly, maybe behind the scenes, he's almost all but got a deal. Maybe he's got Notre Dame on the cusp of joining the ACC in football, and he's going to add 2 other schools, Oregon and Washington, and the ACC's got a coast-to-coast plus a Midwest presence. Who knows?
Not to kick a man while he's down, but if you're going to present publicly one way, would you pick the way he picked today?
No. And I get that there wasn't a lot he could have done. It would have been more powerful for him to say, look, we all see the elephant in the room here, guys. I get it. We come here today at a time of transition in big-time college football, and you're going to ask me, rightfully so, at the ACC Kickoff about this conference, its ongoing plight, and what becomes of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Believe me, we are actively pursuing an answer to that question. I do not have a definitive answer for today, because it is a process, and we are engaged in it. I can assure you we are doing all that we can to ensure a future for this great league. I made that up off the top of my head, and it was 10 times better than what we got today. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I needed to be the PR firm in the room when Jim came in there and said, what are we saying today? Something that I just did right there. Did anybody record that, guys? That's where we're going there. I'll change a couple words here. That was on the fly. I think I doubled up on ensure. Let's switch ensure. Let's guarantee. Let's do something like that. Affirm, whatever you want to use. Let's do that. Read that back to me. Susan, read that back to me. Let's go. It can't be that. It can't be what we just got. That was from a vantage point of desperation. So again, you don't have a ton of options. You do have some. You need to choose aggressively those that lead to a better financial situation when you renegotiate your television contract with ESPN, who I do think, by the way, since they are 50-50 partners on the ACC network, the ACC is an asset. I've said this time and again, this idea that ESPN sees no value in the ACC is not true. The more valuable asset is SEC, but it is still an asset. They still have paid for this to exist in a way that they're invested in. So it would behoove them, short of blowing the thing up, which is what I hope they do, it would behoove them to perhaps help negotiate the addition of assets to strengthen those programs, those teams that remain in this conference, so that they have a viable product to sell. It is still under their umbrella. Now, could you help negotiate a new television deal by wooing as ESPN so that Fox doesn't do it with the Big Ten? Could you do that with, I don't know, a team out of Texas and a couple of teams out of the Pac-12? Maybe. Could you grab Baylor? Look, Baylor, for much of its time in the last 10 to 15 years, has been abhorrent. But they are committed and invested. That they effort to become big time in the near future. So perhaps that happens. And then you grab them and you grab, like we said, I don't know, it's all fun to spitball, but Washington and Oregon, maybe you could come up with some sort of coast to coast conference and have some fun with the two divisions and, something along those lines. Want to thank Ira Chaffel for joining us there in Charlotte at the ACC Kickoff. They'll make their trek back to Tallahassee tomorrow. Thank my producer, Tom Lang, and today's producer on the show, as well as television director, Matthew. Thank you, sir, and thank all of you. Fun show today, guys. Appreciate you watching and listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Be back with you tomorrow on the Jeff Cameron Show. Take care, everybody.